Report #26152, Class B. Submitted by witness on Thursday, June 18, 2009. Backpackers hear whoops and tree push over selenium of Round Valley in the Mount San Jacinto Wilderness Area. Year, 2004. Season, spring month, June date, early June. State, California. County, Riverside County. Location details, SE area of Round Valley in the Mount San Jacinto Wilderness Area. Nearest town, Idlewild. Nearest road, HWY 243. Observed, I was camping with my 7-year-old son on top of Mount San Jacinto, specifically Round Valley. This was the 3rd year we had done this, and the plan was to spend the night at 9,200 feet and do the peak the next day. Spend another night in Round Valley and go back down the mountain the 3rd day. The place we set camp was on the southeast side of Round Valley with some large granite boulders to give us some shelter if the wind picked up. Surrounding our camp were Ponderosa and Jeffrey pines, and not too far away was a small stream. This was early June and there were still some snow drifts in the shaded places. My son and I had eaten dinner and were getting ready for bed. At about 10 p.m. we were in our sleeping bags, but still talking and planning the trip to the peak in the morning. Suddenly, without warning, we heard a loud, low-pitched whooping call in the boulders just above us. The hair on the back of my neck stood up and my son asked me if that was a monkey, and I, not wanting to deal with a panicked 7-year-old, told him it was just an owl. We did not smell anything or hear footsteps. Everything calmed down and we finally fell asleep. About an hour later I heard a loud boom that sounded close to the tent. I looked out the window in the tent and saw a few clouds in the moonlight, so I pulled our boots into the tent in case we got a thunderstorm in the night. The next morning we got up and had breakfast, then headed for the peak. We made the peak, but by the time we got back to camp my knees were swollen and sore, so I put some snow in a sandwich bag for a cold pack that evening to reduce the swelling for the trip out the next morning. That night was uneventful and we slept well in the high-altitude air. The next morning we got up and began to pack up for our trip off the mountain. I went up on top of the boulders to make sure none of our trash had blown away from camp and make sure everything was picked up. I then saw what had made that loud boom the night before last. 30 yards from our tent on top of those boulders was an 8-inch diameter Ponderosa pine snapped off at the base. The tree was still green and fresh and had no rot in it, and there was no wind to speak of either night. The only explanation I can come up with is that the animal that made that whooping sound had pushed the tree over. The tree was not aimed in the direction of our tent but rather parallel the direction our tent was pitched. I don't think the animal was trying to do any harm but may have just been expressing its dominance over us. Other witnesses, just myself and my 7-year-old son. We were talking. Time and conditions, started about 10 p.m. Weather was clear and cold. Environment, pine forest with meadow about a quarter mile away and stream less than that. Follow-up investigation report by BFRO investigator Mike O'Brien. Witness had Class B loud noise experience while camping during evening and later noticed a tree which had apparently been pushed over in close proximity to his tent. Witness has since moved to New Mexico and hopes to have additional sightings there.
Hi guys, this is a follow-up to the investigation that BFRO did. We were in approximately the same location, lower elevation, kind of in between this and another sighting at a campground near here, about 6,000 to 7,000 elevation. Now the story talks about how they hiked up to about a 9,000 peak in the area. They were definitely further in than here that we're showing, but it was definitely squatchy. There's water in the area. Didn't see any deer per se, but did find some unusual tree breaks, not necessarily these, um, that looked like they possibly could have been an attempt at something. We did find a footprint, which I'm trying to locate the picture of, and I will include it on the video. Um, Again, this was 2004 time frame, I believe, that the BFRO cited the encounter happened of the uh, campers, where there was a tree break and looked like a fairly fresh tree, and they got a couple whoops. So it definitely seemed believable. I think, especially to the investigator. Um, I think it was pretty smart in the story how the lady didn't want to startle her son and just kind of said it was an owl, which was probably a pretty good move. Um, you know, being that far out, and you don't want to cause any un- unneeded situations, I guess you could say. But yeah, again, this was our follow-up area. Look, the original footage that we took here, there looked like there might have been some caves to the left here, and a lot of the viewers originally kind of commented on. They looked like maybe they had seen something over there. We kind of had a hard time seeing it, but like right in this area, some possibilities. But yeah, it looks like there's I'm not sure if there's a water pipe or something running down to this forested area here. I'd love to go back um, and do a follow-up investigation and see if there's anything else that we can find. Again, we did find a footprint. I'll see if I can include it. That was kind of up near the Merriam campground near here in the snow, which looked pretty good size. But then again, it looked like you kind of see a heel mark in it too. So probably have to rule that one out. But again, this is near the sighting location. Kind of follow-on report, and we'll keep including these as we kind of redo the video set and release them for these episodes. I'm going to possibly try and do a live show soon, so I'll try and uh, talk to you guys more about that as we get closer to it, as an actual date comes up. Love to have everybody kind of chime in on, some of this footage, and, moving forward, even as we're able to kind of get back out there and have you guys participate with it all, which I think would be just an awesome way to experience, some of this together. Um, Now this is the second location. That's one of the shots on the way in. Again, yeah, it's 6,000 elevation, and there's the footprint, but that kind of clearly looks like a heel print from a human foot, but it's pretty big. That's a foot. So anyhow, you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.